Okay, based on my two little sketches here, we're ready to start modeling. And I just want to repeat that my calculator showed me this piece really isn't going to be that noticeable. So if that makes you decide to leave it out, then that's probably the right thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in here just to make the modeling portion a little more exciting for me as I go through this. Okay, to begin, let's decide which one needs to be modeled inside the project and which one could potentially be used throughout the project. In other words, created as a family. If I go back to my picture, it's this one. This detail at the top of the parapet, no, that's not going to show up anywhere else. The little piece that I put underneath the eave, looks like it's repeated. Whoops, looks like it's repeated over here. Well, that's another way to, I guess, view the same detail in a different image. And I'm just going to assume that this is the same as this, and even if it's not, I'm just not going to worry about that because it's a 3D print and it's close enough. Yeah, there we go. There's the original image, and this is a clearer picture of what we're trying to look at. Okay, I'm going to do those exactly the same, which means this one I'll do as a family, this one I'll just do as a model in place. When I do this one as a family, that's not entirely true. I'm actually just going to create this shape as a family, that profile, that outline, not the actual sweep. I'll show that towards the end of the video. Let's start off with this one because it's more of the same. It's basically what you've already done and what you probably already know, but I'm just going to do it now according to a sketch that we started with. So to begin, we go Component, Model in Place. This one is part of the wall, so I'm going to use the wall category. And we'll do this one as a sweep. And just like last time, we can just pick our path. And remember, the first line that you pick, well, that's going to become the area where you place your profile later. Once again, it doesn't look like the line is complete. So I do need to trim it, make it one enclosed shape, and then I'll accept that, and we'll edit the profile. That's how we start drawing. I don't want to draw here. I should just go back to the front because I've already got the line work in place, and that's why I wanted to show this in this video. Sketching is a good way to save time in the long run. I don't have to draw it again. I'm just going to simply pick all of the lines that I had drawn previously. Be careful when you get here. It's going to try and pick the entire reference plane. So I'm going to hit Tab until it just highlights my previous sketch. Same thing here. Wait for it to be the right part. And now let's look at it in 3D. Perfect. Accept that. And all we did was accept the profile, so we haven't created the sweep yet. And now I'll accept or finish so that it will actually create that sweep. There we go. And I tried to explain this earlier, but we could keep adding to this. We haven't finished the model. All we did was finish the sweep. So I could go and add any additional level of detail. It would all be part of this model, but in my case, I am now done. And I think I'll hold off before showing this in the Prusa Slicer. That does look like it sticks out quite a bit farther than what you're seeing here, but that's okay. Again, I want it to be visible. I know it's going to be a 3D print, so I'm doubling up, right? I'm adding a little more detail than I would normally see. Okay, for the next part now, let's go ahead and do this other piece, which is going to be a bit different. For this one, like I said previously, I'm going to create the outline of the shape or the profile as a family, but that's it. And what that means is that I need to go find a new template for families, but this time I'm not going to choose the generic model face-based. I'm going to go down until I find a profile. And there are several options for profiles. We want the plain one, just profile. This environment is different than what we're used to. It's got a reference level and no other views. And even if you wanted to go into 3D, it doesn't exist. All we have here is a place to draw lines. Not really a objects per se. We can still do shapes or profiles, but all we can use is lines. No extrusions, no sweeps, no nothing. And because I've already drawn the lines in my front elevation, I'm going to try to borrow those. Just select them all by hovering over one, push the tab button on your keyboard. There's the lines, and now I'll do Control-C for copy. I'll go into my family and Control-V for paste. Fortunately, this is something that it does let me carry over from a project into a family. And I think I'd like my insertion point to be in the upper left corner of my object or my shape. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do for this. I'll save it as a family and give it a name. Gotta go find a good place to put this, however. Okay, I don't know what I'm going to call this. I guess I'll call it cornice. And because I could have other cornices, I'll put 01. How about cornice Eve 01? Okay, and then we load that into our project. I probably could have hit load into project and close, but that's okay. Okay, now that I'm here, I don't see it. And if I go to architecture component, place a component, it's not going to be here either. And once again, that's because it's a different kind of family. It's just a profile. There's a couple ways that we can get access to that profile. And the first one that I'm going to try, I haven't experimented with yet in this project, so I could run into some trouble, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work. And this is to use the wall sweep tool. Wall sweep. And right now there's already a cornice, but don't confuse that cornice with the one that I created. Remember, I called mine Cornice Eve. So this is the only one available. Actually, there's two. There's wall sweep. Uh-oh. It won't let me select here. Now I'm going to have to hit escape. There we go. Okay, there's two of them here. I'm just going to leave it on the first one and hit edit type. And I want to duplicate this, and I'll give it whatever name I want. How about Cornice Eve? And the shape of it is based on whatever the profile that shows up here is. And I don't know what that one is. It's certainly not one that I created. So we're going to go find Cornice Eve. It's at the bottom of the list for me. And then we'll say OK. And now it will let me place this, but only on a wall. So anything that's not a wall, it's not going to let me do that. It has to be on a wall. And I'm in luck because that's exactly where I want to place it in this case. So I'll place it there. The first one that you place, it's going to show up. It's going to appear, and it's establishing the height for any more of them if you want to keep going. And I do. After you click, sometimes they don't show up until you orbit around just a little bit. But I'm just going to keep going all the way through until I've finished and gotten my way back to the start. And there it is. So you can see I didn't have to go into any modeling tools at all, but I was able to use a family that I had created. Now I can use that family, that same family, and I can load it directly into another family where I think I'm going to create the roof that will go over these towers. So I guess the advantage of that is I could put this same cornice underneath all of these 4 roofs, but then I'd have to do it 4 times. If I can create this roof element as a family and just take the profile from here and put it into that family, then it will already appear when I load the roof into my project, and it will be everywhere that I place it, including those 4 towers. Okay, and that also means that maybe it's a good thing that I left this open, because I'm going to have to load it into a new family, which I'll show in my next video. But if you're looking for it and you can't find it, let's say you've already closed it. One way that you can find it is to go over here to your families, and there's a section for profiles, and I should have one over here called cornice eave, and there it is. And from here I can always right click and I can hit edit, and that would just open it up again. Then I'd have it open ready to load into another family. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Next video I'll show the complete steps of how to create this roof with a cornice underneath.